It's controversial opinion hour. So this video is going to sound totally different than I tried this for 90 days, I tried this for 30 days, and here's exactly how it transformed my entire life in the matter of 30 days, and you should do it too type video. That's not what this is. So I wanted to share my journey with meditation. And I've recently been digging into what meditation and mindfulness could mean as it shows up in astrology charts. And I have a bit of a different approach based off my 90-day experiment with traditional seated meditation practice. So first, I'll just give you a little bit of history about my relationship to mindfulness and meditation over the past several years, basically the entirety of my adulthood. I have tried seated meditation so many times. It seems to me like people think that seated meditation for however long every single day is such a core tenet to a spiritual practice that if it doesn't work for you, then you're doing it wrong, right? The idea that it doesn't work or the idea that it isn't working for you sort of automatically means that it's not the meditation that is ineffective for you personally. It's something about how you're doing it. So I had been trying to apply myself toward a seated meditation practice on and off for several years. You know, I'd make it 2 weeks in and it would fall away. I would do it consistently for a little bit and then it just didn't seem to be serving any value. And of course, I tried to have patience for what would come up with a seated meditation practice. The restlessness, the mind that is unable to stop, and the discomfort with the stillness, right? I knew to expect all of those things, and I've been walking a spiritual path long before I really had encountered seated meditation or traditional meditation techniques. And I have even tried to work with guided meditations. I downloaded, what is that app? You know the one. I don't know. Headspace. That's the one. I had worked with Headspace for a couple weeks, and sure enough, that one fell away too. I have tried it at different times of day, first thing in the morning, right before bed. All of these practices just seem to fall away from me. They don't seem to be serving enough value to stick. So recently in my life, I'm going to sneeze, hold on. So recently in my life, I began to revisit the idea of a seated meditation and say to myself, look, Sarah, you've never really given it a fair and consistent chance. So you need to do that in order to really make an evaluation on what kind of impact meditation could have on your life. I haven't ever really struggled with discipline. It's a core strength of mine. I was raised by a Capricorn mother, so applying myself in a disciplined way has never really been an issue. So I knew that if I just committed myself to 90 days, every single day, 10 minutes a day of seated meditation, first thing in the morning, that I'd be really giving meditation a fair shot in my life. So that's exactly what I did. I would wake up each morning and I would sit at my meditation table. I have this altar with crystals and where I do my journaling practice and all sorts of other mindfulness techniques that have always been a part of my journey. And first thing in the morning, I would go there and I would sit. Sometimes I would even do breath work before the meditation. And 10 minutes, no matter what, with a timer. Try to clear the mind, try to observe what is coming up. Watch the emotions, watch the thoughts, and just breathe. And it did not work for me. In fact, I would like to say that it made my state of mental well-being worse. So the jig is up. This video is maybe not what you expected it to be. It is not what everybody says about how meditation changed their life for the better and it's what unlocked everything for them. It did not work for me. It made me more anxious. It made me more depressed. It made me obsess over what was going on in my mind. And it was like first thing in the morning, I'd sit down and do the exact opposite of what they say to do with law of attraction, which is I did what did not feel good. I did not enjoy it. It wasn't something that made me feel more peaceful. I would sit there and no matter how hard Some days it would be good, right? Some days it would just be quiet. But even then, it didn't seem to add much value. It didn't seem to change the course of how my day went. And I was really trying to give it a fair shot with no expectations. So then I began to think, okay, why is it that meditation in this format has never stuck for me? It never seems to benefit me. In fact, this practice is making me more anxious, but I can be so committed and gain so much support and benefit and peace from a consistent yoga practice, right? So maybe another piece of this story is that for the past 2 years, I've been consistently practicing yoga nearly every single day. A couple days off here and there, right? Sometimes it's every other day, but that practice without fail, I will come back to 20, 30, sometimes an hour and 15 minutes of yoga per day. And that, of course, includes a breath work at the end and, a quiet space of reflection, maybe a meditation that is more like 2 or 3 minutes long. Sometimes I skip the meditation completely and it's just the shavasana, right? And this practice has been what has truly been life-changing for me. The daily yoga has been what all the YouTubers say, about trying this mindfulness spiritual practice that alters the course of my entire life. So I don't want you to get the idea that I'm not advocating for a mindfulness practice, a space to check in with yourself, a space to nurture your relationship with self and spirit, and cultivate peace and gratitude. In fact, my suggestion to you is that you absolutely do need a practice like this in your life to see improvement with manifestation, to see improvement with your mood and your general disposition, and as within, so without, literally everything in your life can change when you have the right mindfulness practice for you. So that's why I wanted to make this video, because I began to think, gee, what if our approach to mindfulness needed to be just as unique as we all are as individuals? And if that is the case, then of course, we might be able to see trends, themes, indications of what practices might be most supportive to us in our natal charts. Okay, so this is where the astrology comes in, right? Because we're going to take a look at the zodiac. The area that mindfulness represents, I think, is the 12th house. Because the 12th house is the area of the subconscious mind. And mindfulness practices, no matter what they are, whether it's yoga or whether it's a seated meditation or breath work, these things are aimed at bringing the subconscious mind to the conscious mind so that you can pull out the shadow, you can do your deepest inner work, you can observe your mind and your thought patterns, and you can alchemize, change your programmed beliefs, and change your relationship to the subconscious self, right? So this topic in general is going to reside in the 12th house. So naturally, the sign that occupies the 12th house in your unique chart would give a very good indication of the kind of mindfulness activity or practice that would flow to you most naturally and give you the deepest and most powerful access to your subconscious mind. So we'll start with myself. I am a Gemini Rising. So this is going to be really important about your rising sign, because your rising sign determines what's in the 12th house. I'm a Gemini rising, so therefore the 12th house for me is occupied by Taurus. And Taurus literally governs the body. And Taurus moves at a slow and steady, methodical pace. That's what Taurus energy is. So if we combine the practice of slow and steady pace, being very methodical, being very even-keeled, and we combine that with the body, right? The Taurus theme of the body, it seems like yoga is a very natural expression of Taurus in the 12th house, which is why yoga comes to me so instinctively. It's why yoga calls me back. It's why yoga is a feeling of joy and relaxation. And that doesn't mean it's always easy. It doesn't mean that I don't always have to give myself a reminder of discipline, but it is something that has been persistent, something that has transformed my life, something that has helped me to process my emotions and what is residing in the subconscious mind and body and spirit. So when I saw how true that was for me, I began to think there's got to be something to this. So I would recommend that I'm going to go through all 12 signs. And what this is going to focus on is on your rising sign. So people are always talking about the sun signs. When I say Gemini, I'm not talking about a Gemini sun. I'm only talking about your rising sign. If you don't know your rising sign, you're going to need your birth time and birth location, and I would recommend that you plug that in to astro.com to get an accurate reading for what your rising sign is. If you don't have your time, unfortunately, that makes this pretty difficult because you need to know where your 12th house resides, and those house placements are dependent upon the angles of the chart, which is what we find through the time and location of birth. So my guidance to those people is to always follow your intuition. So if something doesn't work for you and it's not working for you and it's consistently not working for you after you've given it a fair chance, trust your instinct, trust your intuition, trust what feels good for you. And more than likely that's going to be aligning with what your chart says, even if you don't have the information on your birth time and location. For everyone else, you need to focus on your rising sign here. And also, I would recommend that if you're a little bit more advanced with astrology and you like to look at your chart online, some of you may be using Placidus house systems, some of you may be using all different kinds of quadrant house systems, and you might have more than one sign in the 12th house. So the suggestion there would be to combine those two energies if you really resonate with those house systems. I, however, use the whole sign house system. And so therefore there will only be one sign in the 12th house. And that's what resonates for me, that's what works for me, and that is what has been done in traditional astrology since the beginning of time. Okay, so that is what I would recommend if you're not sure or looking to dig into your chart more, but maybe not sure on which house system to use. I'd recommend whole sign houses. So then let's get into it, right? So if you are, starting with Aries, if you are an Aries rising, that means that you have Pisces in the 12th house. So Pisces, it's a water sign. It's the sign that dissolves all boundaries, right? It feels one and connected with everything. So an activity that might be really supportive for you, a mindfulness practice that is really supportive for a Pisces in the 12th house, an Aries rising, is to be by the water. Aries rising people can access their subconscious and do their inner work and cultivate gratitude by being by the water. Maybe this is a routine practice of swimming. Maybe it's fishing. Maybe it's walks along the beach. But that would be my first instinct about what kind of activity would support an Aries rising for your mindfulness technique. Taurus. I've got my little zodiac here so I can visualize what's happening where, right? So Taurus rising, in your 12th house, you have Aries, right? So Aries is the sign of movement and action and strength and willpower. Aries in the 12th house, that's energy. And so that Martian Aries energy, I think, is best suited to physical exercise, right? Intense physical exercise, maybe even in short bursts, something like a HIIT workout, or a HIIT would be maybe really good, or sprinting, quick spurts of intense physical activity, or weightlifting. That is an activity that is really supportive to a Taurus rising person, that can help them break out of their comfort zone and access the subconscious mind so that that energy stays moving, stays fluid, and that you can keep connected to those realms that lie beyond the veils, right? So for Taurus rising, my suggestion would be maybe an activity that involves working out, moving your physical body, perhaps in really short, intense spurts. So then we move on to Gemini, and just like I said, Gemini has Taurus in the 12th house. When you're a Gemini rising, this is a person who needs slow, methodical, rhythmic types of activity. Now, because Taurus represents the body as well, it is the ruler over the body in astrology, as well as the moon, but it's one of the significations of Taurus. My suggestion would be that yoga is a very clear way that you can combine the energy of Taurus into your mindfulness practice and relationship with spirituality. Yoga is a very clear expression of that energy, especially slow, methodic, vinyasa, traditional techniques in yoga, not pop yoga, not core power yoga, not exercise-oriented yoga, but rather slow, rhythmic yoga. That would be a really good suggestion for Taurus in the 12th house or Gemini rising people. It's not to say that this is the only activity, it's just one option, right? You want to be thinking about how you can evoke the energy of what's in the 12th house. Cancer. So if you're a Cancer rising person, then you're going to have Gemini. You're going to have Gemini in the 12th house. So Gemini is all about communicating. It's about writing. It's about the exchange of ideas. It's about learning. And so one thing that comes to mind for a person who is a Cancer rising, a very easy way for you to access your subconscious mind and institute a mindfulness practice into your daily life, something that will feel very meditative to you, even if it's not a seated meditation, would be journaling, right? Because Gemini rules writing and the mind and the intellect. So if you develop a daily gratitude journal or journal 3 pages every day in the morning or just whatever it is, writing could be something that would really help you to process and clear your energy field if you are a Cancer rising individual. Moving on to Leo. Leo rising will have then Cancer in the 12th house. And 12th house with Cancer, well, Cancer is a nurturing energy. Cancer wants to make a home. It wants to take care of people. It wants to protect people. So since it rules the home, one thing that could be very meditative for someone who is a Cancer is cleaning the home, a routine of taking care of the home, maybe taking care of a pet, nurturing a pet. So maybe it's you get a pet and you go on a morning walk, right? That could be a very meditative way to start your day. It's a moment to clear out distractions, leave the cell phone around, just get into your mind, heart, body, spirit, and have a meditative practice that involves the elements of Cancer, which is the home, the family, the property, and the energy of nurturing, the energy of taking care of something. So that would be one suggestion, maybe to get a pet or have a routine of, taking care of your home or adorning your home in some way. So then Virgo rising has Leo in the 12th house. And Leo in the 12th house, Leo is all about fun and creativity. It's about theater and dramatics and being the center of attention, right? So this is a very interesting energy to have in the 12th house, which is a hidden house. It's the house behind the scenes. So one thing that you could really do as a Leo is, just think about what is fun to you. Virgo people, Virgo rising, sort of have a hard time having fun in general, right? Because Virgo rising is a perfectionist. Virgo rising wants to make sure they're taking care of everyone all the time, and they're very orderly, and they're very worrisome, right? So Virgo just needs to learn how to have some fun. And Leo in the 12th house is a suggestion that you just be creative. Take up a creative hobby that sounds fun to you. And when you are having fun on your own, in solitude, through a hobby, making art, photography, because all things creative are represented by Leo. And Leo is the sign in the native zodiac that represents fun and passion and hobbies. If you can connect with whatever sounds fun to you, that's going to help you escape your normal state of mind, which is very worrisome and fast moving, and drop into the subconscious mind where you can begin to process your energy and have a relationship with spirit. So that's what I would suggest for Virgo rising. Now Libra rising, you have Virgo in the 12th house. So Virgo is very orderly, right? And the energy for you is going to be about paying attention to the details and creating order. Virgo is very analytical. So you might want to choose an activity that helps you to flush out your constant concerns for keeping balance and peace with other people, and just connect with the details of what's going on with you. So one activity that tends to work out for Virgoan energy is cycling, because it's just very rhythmic. It's just very rhythmic, and you can drop in to the body and flush out worry. So cycling might be one that really works for someone who has Virgo in the 12th house. It could be very meditative. But you might also consider doing something that creates order out of chaos. So again, I think that this is another placement that would benefit from really doing something like cleaning, right? Something order, making order in your space, making your bed each morning, checking off a to-do list, writing out what your intentions are for the day, and getting clear and detailed about what your intentions are for your energy. That would be a way to process and have a moment of mindfulness and meditation in the morning to sort of check in on the details of what it is that you're feeling, what it is that you're intending to do with your time and space and energy, and get really focused about how you want to carry yourself through the day. Detailed intention setting would be another thing. For Scorpio rising, you have Libra in the 12th house. So Libra is the energy that is all about relationship and connecting with other people and the balance among people and harmony among choices. So this is where I think what would be really beneficial for a Scorpio rising person is to consider doing guided meditations or meditations in groups with other people. So whether you sit down with your partner each morning to do a traditional seated meditation, but together in relationship, or you are coached through a meditative practice, through a guided meditation as a daily mindfulness practice, that would be really beneficial for Scorpio rising who has Libra in the 12th house. Moving on to Sagittarius rising. I said writing because that was a brain slip. Sagittarius rising has Scorpio in the 12th house. This is an energy where I think actually observing your thoughts in a traditional seated meditation is truly a beautiful option for a Sagittarius rising person, because Scorpio in the 12th house is all about observation. Scorpio is very concerned with the truth of things. Scorpio wants to observe and watch and understand what's really going on. So that observational energy really suits itself well to a traditional seated meditation practice. And it's the study of self, which I think is complementary to someone who is Sagittarius rising. That Sagittarius energy is concerned with philosophy and study and learning and teaching. So I think that is one sign where a traditional meditation technique actually happens to be particularly powerful. And then Capricorn rising has Sagittarius in the 12th house. So when you have Sagittarius in the 12th house, this is someone who might really be able to tap into the wisdom of spirit through philosophical study. So maybe this is starting your morning by reading a book on philosophy or religion or meditation or spirituality, right? You start your morning with some kind of expansion of the mind practice, a learning practice, right? Whether that's reading a book in the morning while you watch the sunrise on a topic that connects you to your spirituality and helps you to process your emotions, or whether it's perhaps journaling and writing your thoughts about your philosophies and the wisdom that you've gained and what you're learning through your life experience. That would be a way to capitalize on that Sagittarius in the 12th house energy and making sure that you're tapping into your spirituality, making sure that you're nurturing your relationship with spirit through practices that expand the mind, because that's what Sagittarius is all about. Aquarius rising then has Capricorn in the 12th house. And when you have Capricorn in the 12th house, Capricorn is traditionally associated with hard work, and also working with the hands can be not just a Gemini thing, but I think that real relationship of work and labor and putting in strength and energy into something can be very Capricornian. So traditionally we think of Capricorn as being hierarchical and having to do with structures, but I think one way to really tap into that Capricorn in the 12th house energy in a meditative, mindful way that accesses the subconscious mind is to marry the energy of work with the earth sign of Capricorn. It's an earth sign. So think of things like gardening, right? Hard work on your yard, taking care of plants. That would be something that would help you sort of drop into the subconscious and process your energy. If you're an Aquarius rising person, is to have a relationship with the physical earth where you're working with the land. Maybe you're growing food, for instance, would be an area where you could really access the subconscious mind. Finally, when you have Pisces rising, you have Aquarius in the 12th house. And when you have Aquarius in the 12th house, Aquarius is all about connecting with groups and the energy of the collective and like-minded people. It's a very friendly energy that is all about social connection. So I think a group meditative practice would be really ideal for someone who is an Aquarius. So if you have sort of out there or unorthodox spiritual beliefs, the way that you can get the most of your subconscious work done and your shadow work done and feel connected to spirit is to find people who are interested in the same things you are, seek those groups out, and then practice with these groups of people. That would be a very good way to use the Aquarian energy in the 12th house. So that's sort of what that looks like all through the zodiac wheel. And now what I've suggested here isn't law at all. The entire point of this video is for you to stop relying on what other people say you should do to be spiritual or to grow yourself or raise your frequency or whatever people are telling you to do. That's all outside information. And you need to tap into what feels most natural for you. I think the ultimate message is, yes, you need a mindfulness practice, but what that looks like for you is totally unique to you. And what I've suggested here based on your rising sign is only a suggestion. Feel free to take the significations of the sign that you have in your 12th house and explore what comes to mind that might embody that energy well for you. And it might lead you down a road where you suddenly discover something that feels really nourishing to your soul and your spirituality and connects you with gratitude and helps you to do your shadow work, because that's the ultimate goal of meditation all along. So if you want to dive into that together, I am offering readings, and you can check that out at the link below. I do natal chart readings, solar returns. We dive into every aspect of your chart, and so how to cultivate a practice that connects you with spirit would obviously be a part of that. If you'd like to explore it further, you can find that in the link down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it shed some light on what everybody says you need to be doing to connect with your spirituality, and I hope it inspires and empowers you to trust yourself and your own instincts and the source within you. So that's all for this one. Subscribe if you like the video, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what kind of mindfulness practice you have. I'm interested to hear. And if it connects with what you know about your chart, that would be interesting. So share down below, and I'll see you in the next one. With energy, Sarah.